one general rule he has said that whatever is our thought at the time of death, that will determine our next birth. So if we have to get the thought of Bhagavan at the last moment, efforts have to be put in. Not at the last moment, but much, much earlier. And it is possible. It is not impossible. It is possible. And the key point he has given is on this 8th sloka. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa. Chetasa is mind. Abhyasa yoga. Abhyasa yoga means go on constantly remembering. Constantly remembering means that is the only thought we should have in the mind. No other thoughts. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. See, we have the mind and the intellect. The abhyasa for the intellect is vichara, thinking, contemplation. And the abhyasa for the mind can be brought under our control only through abhyasa, constant repetition. The mind decides that, intellect decides that I should not get angry. This is the, after contemplation, this has come into the picture. Now, the mind has to cooperate. If the mind is not cooperating, then it is not possible. We will get angry. So the mind has to be trained. That means I should not get angry. I should not get angry. I should not get angry. This constant thought will become our samskara, our vasana. So that means all negative qualities can be eliminated by constant repetition of the positive values. That is what is called abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa. The second aspect is nanya gamina. The mind should not be allowed to wander here and there. The mind should be under your control. You have a door at home. Somebody rings the bell. Through the keyhole or eye hole, you will see who is coming. If it is somebody known to you, you will admit him. Otherwise, you will find out who he and all that, and then you will not open the door. But unfortunately, we have 5 sense organs, 5 gateways for the objects to enter into our mind. Now, what the objects are doing is they freely come in. The doors are already open. It is never closed. It opens. So it can come inside. And then it can do havoc. So it is in your control that you can shut the door. Similarly, the 5 sense organs, you can decide, yes, I will allow only these thoughts to come in, not the other thoughts. So you cannot blame any other outsiders for your problems. Problems are all made by you. So, Nanyagamina means allow only that thought which you can receive or welcome it. But other thoughts don't allow. So that is also under your control. Then the third he says is Anuchintayan. That is again repeated. Anu means again and again and again and again. You go on thinking of the same quality which you want to get it. So if you have these 3 qualities, Adhyatma Yoga Yukta, Nanyagamina, Anuchintayan, what will be the benefit? You will get Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati. Paramam Purusham, Uttama Purushan, Divyam, divine, Yati, you will get. So it is a very simple example of a step, a procedure to get the same thought of Bhagavan throughout our life, but do all other activities also. Bhagavan says we have three types of consciousness: consciousness, subconsciousness, and unconsciousness. So whatever is there in subconsciousness and unconsciousness, they are already your vasana, samskara. So those thoughts will come spontaneously without your any effort. Like, if I want to remember my telephone number, it comes just like that, spontaneous, because I've been meditating, thinking of that number all the time. In the beginning, once it has gone into my subconsciousness, if somebody asks me, even in the midnight, what is your telephone number, I will be able to recall. I don't say that I have to look at the telephone directory and give you the number. No. Same thing will happen for any thoughts which we want to cultivate and make your own, your possession. Bhagavan, Lord thought is also of the same time. But unfortunately, we don't have time. We don't have practice also. Because our sense objects are dragging us to the worldly objects. So that means in Kena Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, they have said, he has said that all our sense organs or jnanendriyas, they are all designed to look outside only. It never looks inside, because they are all drafted like that, designed like that. So that means at the same time you also have, because they are all controlled by the mind. So mind can also decide that let me look at myself at reverse direction, under 180 degrees turned back. Instead of outside, look inside. And then understand that mind is the total culprit. See, for example, now we look at the sun. When you look at the sun, what happens? Sun is illuminating every object which are in front of that sun's rays. But your little mind inside is able to see that sunlight, sun's rays. Your little small mind, inner mind, is able to perceive that sun's rays, and you have an option. If you close the eyes, you will not see the rays. So that means if I have to see the sun's rays, I have to open my eyes. The eyes means what? Behind the eyes, there is the mind is there, behind the eyes. And the mind is illumined by the consciousness. So now that means the world objects depends on you. That is the mind. If the mind is there, the objects are there. The world is there. In deep sleep, the mind is not there. The world is not there. So that means mind is subtler than the sun. Subtler means it has got a larger pervasiveness. The mind can see the entire world objects, but it can also need not see the world's object by closing the eyes. Again, the mind depends upon, the mind gets illumination from the consciousness. Because consciousness is all pervasive. It is there, pervading every object, everything. So that means the consciousness is the subtlest of the entire system. consciousness is the subtlest of the entire system. So the world depends on the mind, and the mind depends on the consciousness. In other words, consciousness is the only thing which is inside us, which is able to see everything in the world through our sense organs. Jnanendriyas. If Jnanendriyas are not functioning, then perception is not possible. So that means the three things, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena, Nanyagamina, Anuchintayanna, these are the three maxims which we should follow. Very easy to follow also. You don't need any high technical knowledge or anything. After all, constantly repeating Bhagavan's name, you don't need any other things. Keep mind, so many objects are there. Let me decide I will concentrate only on one object, on Bhagavan. Again, Anuchintayan, repeated thinking. In our school days, when we are in the second standard or third standard, we used to get, this, as I told you, the table, 2 table, 3 table, up to 16 table. And there the teacher will give you imposition. Come on. If you don't answer my question, how much is 13 into 13? You should immediately say, or 16 into 14. The teacher will say imposition. You go on writing 100 times, 200 times, 15 times or something. And then that stays in your mind. So thinking of Bhagavan at the time of death is possible. So that is what he says. He has given that meaning. Now, if I have to think of Bhagavan, I should know his qualities. I should have some information, no? Suppose somebody is scolding me in Japanese language, I will only take that as a sound, shabda, sound, because I don't know the meaning. Whether he is abusing me or not, I don't know. But if he is using my own language, suppose he is abusing me in English language, I understand. Then I have the option to react or not to react. If you are reacting, then you are confirming what he has been, the other fellow is telling you. But if you treat it as a sound, no effect is there. So similarly here, I should know Bhagavan. So how will I know Bhagavan? What are the indicators? What are the technical factors? That is what is given in the 9th sloka. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyan Samanusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasaparastad. He has given 8 indicators, technical factors. What are they? Kavim. We'll go to the meaning a little later. 1. Puranam. 2. Anushasitaram. 2nd. Anoradiyam. Anoradiyam sam. 4. Sarvasya dataram. 5. Achintya rupam. 6. Aditya varnam. 7. Tamasaha parastad. 8. So 8 indicators are given for us to understand and contemplate. So this will help us in our meditation. So that means in the previous sloka he has given, first he said how to get the same thought at the time of death. Then he says how to get the method of getting that. And then if you know, because we may not know Bhagavan. So let me see who is Bhagavan. So for that he has given this 8 technical indicators. So that means with these 4 slokas, we have a total understanding of Bhagavan. And then it will be easier for us to meditate. Even a sick person at the advanced stage, when he is in the sick bed, or he was in the hospital bed or something, absolutely it is possible for him to continue the japa, meditation on Bhagavan. Even if he has got pain or something, he can still remember and he can do that mental manasika japa. Maybe, he may not be able to speak, he may not be able to think, but he can mentally repeat Bhagavan's name. Now we'll go one by one. What he says is, in the second line, Anoraniyamsam anusmarehe yaha anusmarehe. The one who is repeatedly thinking the Bhagavan with these following qualifications, anusmarebhyaha. The sentence is not complete. Yaha anusmarebhyaha, he will get paramam purusham divyam yati. So these two, previous sloka and this sloka has to be combined. Here he has given, if you do this, you will get that. That is a type of meaning. Now, Kavim. Kavim, normally we call it as a scholar. He is a scholar, Sanskrit scholar. I mean, anybody who has got special knowledge, we call them as Kavi. In the Sanskrit language, in the Vedantic language, Kavi means Sarvatnyaha, omniscient, Sarvatnyaha. What is the meaning of Sarvatnyaha? He knows everything. Whatever we are doing, he is able to, is like a CCTV for him. Kavim, Sarvatnyaha. If you take a pot, clay pot, mud pot, the mud pot requires two causes required. One is, it is made up of mud, material cause. Upadana karanam in Sanskrit. And then you need an expert who can spin that pot. And that man is called a nimitta karanam, the one who has got the knowledge of the pots. And he uses the mud to get the mud pot. That fellow who is creating this pot or making this pot, he has a total knowledge of all the pots. So when he has created a pot, he knows how much volume it can take, what is the capacity in liters, all these things he knows. Same thing with Bhagavan. Bhagavan says, we are also created by Bhagavan. Our physical body, stomach, and all that, they're all created by Bhagavan. So Bhagavan knows all of us. He knows everything about us. He's got a supercomputer. That computer has large memory, because somebody may say how he can know everybody, every one of us in the so many, and also the non-human beings, also living beings. So he has a supercomputer. It has a infinite memory, infinite power capacity. No virus can contact them. Infinite battery capacity. That means you don't have to charge now and then. And memory, infinite memory. So such a supercomputer he has. So he is able to see. See now, with a light, you can only see items projected to the light. Whatever is illumined by the light, we will see. But our feelings, we cannot. The light cannot show your feeling. Suppose what is the emotional condition you have in the mind, I cannot find out, because there is no method. Only The light within you, your consciousness can illumine the mind, and that mind can know what am I thinking now. So that is possible. So that means the outside light cannot illumine your mind, your feelings, your emotions, your things, your thoughts. So that is not possible. But here, when he said Kavi, Sarvatnyaha, omniscient, that consciousness can illumine all these items. That consciousness is illumining my thoughts, my emotions. If I'm angry, how do I know I'm angry? Because that consciousness is lighting. So that is Kavi here, Kavihi. So if you contemplate on that knowledge of omniscience for Kavi, we will be able to remember him repeatedly. That is one of the qualities. Second, Puranam. Puranam normally means Ramayanam, Bhagavata Puranam, all these things. Vairant Puranam, that is from Tamil. But that is not the meaning here. Puranam. Pura Nava iti. Pura Nava is ever fresh. Ever fresh means Nityam. Exists in all the periods of time. That is what is called Puranam here. Pura Nava. See, for example, if you now take a movie, very popular movie, it runs for some time, then we call it as a hit movie. Oh, wonderful, hit. After some time, it gets hit also. So that is the movie. Whereas here, if you talk about Bhagavatam or Ramayanam, even today, which was Ramayana was all 5,000 years back, but even today it is fresh. It never gets outdated. That is the meaning of Purana. And Bhagavan is Nityam, everlasting, available in all periods of time. So that means if you depend on Bhagavan, he is available all the time. But if I depend on any one of the relations or whatever it is, either he may die first or I may precede him. So it is no dependent. They are depending on an undependable object. That is our samsara, sorrow. So that is why he says, you depend on me. Puranam, Puranava. Then he says, next one, Anushasitaram. Anushasitaram. He is a controller. He controls the entire universe. If you look at the universe, harmoniously it is working. The sun shines, sun rises, sun sets in, rains come appropriate time. Even our bodies are regulated. And he has set certain rules and do's and don'ts. See, now, for example, our parliament is proclaiming some rules. Say, for example, now income tax. The finance ministry says you have to pay taxes. Now, if you don't pay tax, you will be penalized. Some penalties will be levied on you if you don't file your tax return. And these are supervised by whom? Our income tax inspectors, income tax officers. But these rules can be amended also, because it's all man-made rules. It can be amended. Next year, a new government comes, they will change the entire system of taxation, which we are seeing also. Whereas in the case of the Bhagavan, Anushasitaram means Bhagavan's rules are ever consistent. There is no change at all. It is there. You have to follow the rules. That means he is ever vigilant, ever vigilant. He is not acting like a terrorist or a sultan, a dictator. No, he is a benevolent dictator. Now you take our judiciary now. You file a case against somebody, and the judiciary comprises a few judges, and the judge, a single judge will have some opinion, three-bench judge or a five-bench judge. There will be contradiction. Two people will say yes, three people will say no. But that will never happen in the court of Bhagavan. In the Bhagavan's court, he knows everything well, who has done what. Because today in our court, what happens, if somebody say whether he tells a lie or whether he tells the truth, that is the judgment of the person, judge. He has not seen the crime. He has not seen the charges. But based on the arguments given by both defendants and the prosecutor side, he comes to some conclusion based on his way of thinking. But it never happens in the case of, in the court of Bhagavan. Bhagavan knows, yes, because he has been watching. He is a Kavi, Sarvatnyahan, omniscient. So that situation will never come to Bhagavan. Think of that, Bhagavan. See, he has now said, you can eat only through the mouth. Okay, for a change, let me eat through the ear. It is not possible. That is regulation. That is Anushasitaram. That means his rules are all not flexible at all. It is permanent, you can call it. So, Kavishi, Puranam, Anushasitaram, that means omniscient, he is ever there, eternal, and he just gives justice to every one of us according to the crimes or mistakes we commit. Because he has got a overall view of the whole system. Now comes Anoraniyamsham. Anoraniyamsham means subtlest of the subtle. Anu means atom. Now we have, those days, when we were talking about Anu, but now the Anu has also been split. Protons, neutrons, electrons, and all that. So it is subtler than the subtlest. We have 5 bhutas: Akasha, Vayu, fire, water, and earth. Now, how do you say which is subtler, which is more subtler, which is the subtlest, and all that? So there is a gradation. So if you take about the earth, and we have 5 jnanendriyas, all the 5 jnanendriyas can perceive the earth. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gantha. So all the 5 gunas, qualities of that, will be able to see the element earth. Bhutam is element. So that means that is the grossest. So if all the 5 gunas can recognize the earth, that is the grossest. That is why earth is grossest. Next comes water. Water has only 4 gunas. One guna is not there. Smell is not there. Gandha is not there. Because Gandha belongs to the earth. You may say that my water in the tap is smelly and all that, but that is made by us. But originally the water is pure. There is no smell at all for the water. So water is subtler than earth. Then you take Agni, fire. Fire has no taste. Water has taste. Fire has no taste. So that means it has only 3 gunas acting on the fire. So it is still grosser, subtler. So see the gradation. Earth, then gross, then we see the what you call as the water, subtler than earth. Again, fire, which is subtler than water also. An example is given that if you take water, if you solidify the water, it becomes, that means if you cool it, you can get ice cubes. Ice cubes we can perceive. Water also we can perceive. But water spreads in more areas. Ice cube is, if you put the ice cube in one place, it will stay there. Whereas in the case of water, it will spread all over the place. So it is pervasiveness. So when you measure the subtlest is more pervasive. Again, if you steam it, heat the water, it becomes steam. And the steam can again pervading more areas. And also powerful. Steam engine, we have seen, no? In the case of a train and all that. Then comes the Vayu. Vayu has only two gunas. Sparsha, Shabda Sparsha, only two. Then comes to Akasha, space. It has only got Shabda. So that means in our Bhuta elements, out of the 5 elements, Akasha is supposed to be the subtlest you can call it. But Bhagavan is, Lord is subtlest of the all elements, including space. Because space has come from Lord. In the Upanishad, it is given that how this Akasha came into the picture. Akasha Sambhutaha, from Brahman. So when you say Anoraniyam Sam means it is the subtlest. If the subtlest means it can pervade everywhere. That is why, we call it as all pervasive, subtlest. Such a Bhagavan, we think about it. It's easy to think about it because now if you see the 5 elements, each element is subtler than the previous one, subtler than the previous one. Akasha is supposed to be, to us it is subtlest. No, Akasha is also came from Brahman, consciousness. So, Anoraniyam Samanusmaredya, Anoraniyam Sab. But somebody will think, if he is a subtlest of all, then what about, how can I see such type of Bhagavan? Then Upanishad also says, Anoraniyan Magato Mahan. There is a Upanishad mantra. It is also the ever biggest of the all items. So bigger than everything, smaller than everything. So Anoraniyan Magato Mahan. So we have seen 4 technical terms. Kavim, Puranam, Anushasitaram, Anoraniyam. Then he says, Samanusmaredya, that we have seen. Yaha Anusmarehe. Next is called Sarvasya Dhataram. When you say Sarvasya Dhataram, he is the nourisher of everything. Sarvasya Dhataram. There are 2 meanings. Dhataram means the one who gives. Whatever karmas we do, actions we do, we get the punyam and pavam as the palam results. That punya palam is given by Bhagavan. The other is Adharam, means Sarvasya Adharam. Adharam is the base. So he is the base of everything. If you take about our thoughts, in the mind, the base for the thought is consciousness. And on the consciousness, some disturbances take place of course, on the surface. And that, if you talk about the ocean, we have seen waves. Waves is there, then foam is there. So all these things are not part of the water, but it has been just came. Waves come and go. Waves come and go. So that is not permanent. Whereas in the case of ocean is permanent. There is no change. So that is the base substratum. If some train has to run, it can run only on rails. The rail is permanent. So many trains come and go, but that base is not affected at all. Football ground. A ground is there. Whether somebody can play football, somebody can play hockey, some people can have sports, some entertainment programs can take place, but the ground remains as it is. But ground gives the facility for all these activities to take place. So activities that not affect the ground. Similarly, the consciousness is not affected by any of our activities, whether any of our gunas also. If you are angry, if you are jealousy, if you are hatred, if you are happy, if you are all these things are dancing on the surface. But the surface is, substratum is straight, never changes. So that is why it's called Sarvasya Dhataram. The next technical factor is Achintya Rupam. Achintya Rupam. Achintya Rupam means it cannot be conceived. It is not available for our five sense organs to capture. If all the five sense objects, with that we can see some object, then we get that knowledge of that object. Whereas in this case, in case of Bhagavad, consciousness is not available for sense organs. It is called agocharam. Gocharam means available. Agocharam means it's not available. So self cannot be thought of and comprehended as any other finite objects or ideas by our limited faculties of the head and the heart. The infinite cannot be comprehended by the finite instruments of perception, feeling, and understanding, but can only be apprehended when these equipments are transcended. In the case of cinema theater, if you have gone to a picture, see there is a screen there. And the screen does not change at all. But the screen facilitates the shadows to fall on that, and that becomes the picture. Some actors come, some water is poured, some firing is taking place, but nothing happens to the screen. So the base remains as it is. So Achintya Rupam means inconceivable. Inconceivable means it is not available for our instruments, sense organs to understand. It is beyond that. And then he says, Aditya Varnam. Aditya Varnam means it illuminates everything. All the objects of the world can be illuminated by sun. If the sunlight is there, we can see all the objects. But we should allow the sunlight to fall on that object. See, for example, if you are sitting in a dark room with the doors closed, windows closed, the sun's rays cannot enter because you want to keep everything closed. So it is available. Outside is available. But you open, then you get it. So that means when you say Aditya Varnam, consciousness is not like the sun, because sun has got limitations. Sun cannot illuminate darkness. The moment the light comes, darkness goes. So somebody used to say, Chinmayananda Maharaj used to say, that somebody went to the sun god and said, there's a beautiful girl called Miss Darkness. Miss Darkness, very beautiful. You should marry her. Then sun god said, where can I see her? She is on the other end of the hemisphere. So if you are here, it is on the other side. Then the sun god started chasing. I want to meet her and want to get married. So when he went to the other side, she has already gone to this side, this part of the hemisphere. That is the reason why sun god is still going around the earth in search of that Miss Darkness, but can never available, because darkness is also called Ajnanam or Maya. That is Maya. We are all caught under the circle of Maya. So sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are not happy, unhappiness, we are jealous, we are angry, all emotions, everything takes place, all because of Maya. So if, as long as you have got ignorance, Ajnanam, our life will be miserable. So this knowledge of Bhagavan, consciousness can illumine both darkness and light. See, in your mind, are we not seeing darkness? So mind is more powerful than sun god. I can see darkness and I can see light also. That means both are illumined by that consciousness. If somebody says, I tell one sloka of Bhagavad Gita now, this sloka. Now I explain the sloka, and if I ask you, did you understand? You will say, yes, I understood. But on the 10th chapter, I ask you whether you know the meaning of that sloka. You will say, I don't know. I have not read. I have not studied. So that means the one who says, I know, the one who says, I don't know, both are illumined by that consciousness. So that is the speciality of the consciousness. That is why we call it self-illuminating. Jyotisham Jyotihi. Self-illuminating. If you have one light, you don't need another light to light this particular light. So our consciousness is so brilliant inside. That is why it is illuminating everything. But unfortunately, that luminosity has been totally covered by our dark clouds of our negative qualities, anger, jealousy, hatred. So this is a thick cover. So if that cover is removed, you will come to know the Jyoti. How can you remove the cover? That is why we have to do Karma Yoga. That means whatever actions we do it as Krishna Arpanam or Bhagavan Arpanam Ramay Punya Chinna. Then that screen is removed, and once the screen is removed, you are directly in touch with Bhagavan. So that is the negative Chitta Shuddhi. You get Karma Yoga. So Anoraniya Aditya Varnam Tamasaha Parasta. That means it is beyond darkness also. So the limitation is not there, beyond darkness. So Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parasta. Sun is the source of all light, illumining everything in front, but not the darkness, Ajnanam. To know the waker, you have to become the waker. So like that, if I have to know my limitations, Ajnanam and Jnanam, I have to become God. You can become God because we have seen, that you have to do the three things, Abhyasa Yogam, Nanyagamina, Avartihi. So these three things, if you listen, you will be able to. Now he has given you 8 indications of Bhagavan. And they are all simple. It is not very complicated for understanding. Then avrasti with the mind. Abhyasam. So Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyan Samanusmaribhya Sarvasya Dataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasat Parasta Yaha Anusmared. Yaha, the one who repeatedly remember these 8 attributes, 8 points, technical points has been given. Saha yati paramam purusham divyam. He will attain Bhagavan. He will attain the Lord. So that means now if you look at all the 3 previous slokas, it is possible for us to remember Bhagavan at the time of death, provided we have cultivated that particular quality, either with the quality of the Bhagavan or Bhagavan himself. So these are the indicators for us. Next sloka, that is the 10th one. Again he is repeating, Prayanakale manasachalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva bruvor madhye pranam aveshya samyak satam param purusham upayiti divyam. Prayanakale means at the time of death. Manasachalena, he has given 4 factors. Manasachalena, achalena manasa, that means keep the mind steady, not try to waver. Bhaktya, be devoted to Bhagavan. Bhaktya yukto. Then yoga balena chaiva. Yoga balena means, we have seen, in the 8th sloka, Abhyasa yoga. That is the yoga, Abhyasa yoga. Yoga balena chaiva. Bruvor madhye, between the eyebrows, pranam aveshya, bring the prana, samyak, well. Satam param purusham upayiti divyam. That man attains divyam, divine aspect. So that means, other than the 3 qualities what he has given here he has given the 4 qualities. Achalena manasa, bhaktya yukto, yoga balena, bruvor madhye pranamaveshya. So these 4 are additional points for us to think about it, contemplate about it. Now, to bring the mind to a steady poise with devotion and strength of concentration, bring the shattering mind and departing prana between the 2 eyebrows is the indication given here. But is it possible? We will say it is fantastic. It is not possible. After all, when a man is at the deathbed, how can he think of all this? Bring the bed, this thing. But he has already given the previous thing that he has given 3 methods to bring disciplining the mind. So he says, single-pointed meditation upon the highest at the moment of death of ego. See, the problem is with our ego, because ego will not allow easily to understand things, because it will drag you to the outside only. Because, as I told you, that all the 5 sense organs, they have been projected to look outward, not inward. So that ego will see to it that they drag the sense organs to the objects. So that means ego has to be annihilated. Ego has to be, and how ego can be annihilated? Only when you surrender to Bhagavan. Sharanagati. That is why, it's very important. Sharanagati, surrender to Bhagavan. Even if you go to the temple, use Bhagavan, no problem. Because either as a tool to get some worldly objects, no, absolutely no problem, no this thing. But what you have to do is that slowly, that training, that is abhyasa, that training will see that instead of only looking for worldly objects, I have to achieve something higher than that. And that higher than that is called moksha, liberation. That is from the deliverance from this birth and death cycle. Because today the problem is we are enamored by the body. Identification with the body is maximum, 99.9%. Because we are not looking at mind and intellect at all. Because that is the higher powers given to us. But we are at the lower level only. That is because of the ego. So the bhakti should be towards the Bhagavan, surrender to Bhagavan. That means you have to sacrifice the comforts of the body. That means you should know that you are getting the joy or happiness from a higher source, that is Bhagavan. Automatically your attachment to the body will automatically go. At that time, even if you are sick, you will not worry about it. Yeah, let the body die, no problem. So there used to be one sannyasi, he was very hungry. He was going on the street and he does not have any cash also. So he saw one wayside shop where the bananas are kept there. So this fellow went and ate 2 or 3 bananas and the shopkeeper asked for the money. He didn't have any change, any cash. Then he called a few people and let him like anything. He was given hammered. And this man also was telling, sannyasi was telling, give more blows. Don't stop it, give more blows. I told that mind not to go, be hungry, not to go and steal, rob, because you don't have money. So give. So that is a sannyasi. See, now he is not identified with the body. That means he is not able to see any pain. This is called sublimation. Sublimation means you find joy at a higher level. Then you will forget the lower level. So that is what is called as that body identification is because of our ego. So if you eliminate the ego, automatically you are nearer to Bhagavan. And once you are with the Bhagavan, then you don't worry about whatever happens to the Bhagavan. Then in that case, at the time of death of the body, what is death of the body? That body becomes inert. Now it is sentient. It will become insentient. That is why, we are able to burn the body. Nothing happens to the body. Heat is not, none of the activities outside senses are available to you at that time. So the whole purpose is that if I have, first of all, we should not be scared of death. Death is nothing but rejecting this body. Body is renounced. Body will automatically get renounced even if you don't want to renounce, because it is a destructible item. Sharovabha. Sharovabha means it is not permanent. It is decaying because it has got shat vikaras. So all the vikaras will come one by one, and one day the body will definitely go. Jadasya dhruvo murtihu dhruvam janma murtasya cha. In such a situation, we should allow the body to go, and once you remove the attachment to the body, you are already sublimated yourself. That means you enjoy a higher joy with Bhagavan, attachment to the Bhagavan. So that is why it is very firmly indicated that bhakti is the only means for us to And how the bhakti can be cultivated? That is by japa, meditation. How to meditation done? Same idea, go on repeating with the background of the intellect. Intellect has given the qualities, follow that qualities. So that is why the three things are very, very important. So we'll continue the same sloka in the next class because there are few more terms on that. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Hari Om Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om.